Revelation 2853. From the 17th and the 18th of August 1943. Works of destruction. Uninhibited expression of the released forces that have become free. Indestructible is that which has come forth from the power of God. But if human will nevertheless carries out a work of destruction, this is only a non-recognition of divine power, which now has the effect that God withdraws the visible characteristic of his power, but not the power itself, for this is invisible and eternally unchangeable. The human will constantly changes the things that surround it. Thus it makes use of God's manifestation of strength, of the visible works of creation, in order to reshape them according to its own will, which is also permissible before God because no limits are set to the human being's free will, and which is also pleasing to him if the purpose of the reshaping is the well-being of the neighbor. Thus the human being is active in serving love. But contrary to divine will and divine order is human activity, which merely testifies to the will to destroy. The power which now becomes free, the invisible, which has its origin in God, does not now remain inactive, because power must always express itself somehow. It is no longer bound by the shell that imposed a certain activity on it, but it is unhindered and can therefore also unfold without restraint. And then this unrestrained activity takes effect again on human beings, not only on those who accomplished such works of destruction, but on all human beings who lie within the range of these powers. Furthermore, other creations of nature are also affected by the unintended development of forces, so that changes take place in them which are also contrary to the divine order. But what is contrary to the divine order is not construction, but in turn destruction. A destruction that is not directly but indirectly caused by human will. Consequently, the human being must also answer for his will as soon as he is responsible for works of destruction or has approved of them, because the released forces can also cause great devastation. God's will must now come into action again, which gives these forces new coverings that prevent them from unrestrained development. But this process requires a time of development due to the imperfect human being. Thus a new creation cannot arise suddenly, which would certainly be possible for God's omnipotence but would be detrimental to the human being's freedom of faith and will. Therefore a constructive activity of people is necessary so that things come into being again which grant the escaped spiritual stay. And likewise the possibility of growth must be created again in nature on the part of human beings. Only then will the chaos be reduced, the unfavorable effects of the forces hindered and the God-willed order restored. For even if earthly creations dissolve, the spiritual strength sheltering in them is indestructible and will always need material creations again, and as long as it is still imperfect it will have to be bound, because immature spiritual substances in a free state disregard divine order, and this has to end in chaos. Amen.